kiddos. It took me a lot longer to put this together than I thought it was going to, but I think I've got it. So, we're going to go through this, and I really wanted this to be a comprehensive resource for you. And I know that my voice is a bit much today, but these allergies just won't stop. So, I'm going to do my best. It's early, and hopefully the voice will hang in there with us. Now, I asked you last week to fill out the KWL chart with what you already know about mental health and wellness. And I also asked you to fill out the column what you would like to know about mental health and wellness. And those of you who have turned that in already, I try my best to get that included into this slides presentation for your learning this week and next week. It's a pretty long presentation. I'm not going to read the whole thing to you, but I do expect you to read it because I really feel like it's a helpful resource. And it answers the questions that everyone had as to what you wanted to learn about mental health and wellness. So, without further ado, let's dive into this thing. First off, I wanted to include the suicide prevention lifeline. That is a very important number that needs to be seen more by everyone. I have it posted in my classroom, every classroom I've ever had, and I'm sharing it here with you. Oh, I don't have to click it. What are your goals for this unit? By the end of the lessons, you should be able to do the following things. They're right there. Like I said, I really wanted to be comprehensive. I think that being able to name what emotion it is that you are feeling, being able to communicate that is very important. I also feel like having knowledge about mental issues and mental wellness is something that is not really taught that often. Not that I can remember. I remember learning a little bit about it in health class, but that was about it. That was about all I can remember from school. I wanted to make sure that you have a resource and that we work together to create a resource that will help you through some tough times, hopefully. You wanted to know how you can identify warning signs of mental crisis and distress or illness. We cover those in this presentation. And I added and sprinkled in my own thoughts and resources on what we're going to cover. So let's go ahead and start doing that. First, what exactly is mental health? Mental health is a very broad category. It's all of our emotions, it's our thoughts, our feelings, and our social well-being. It affects every aspect of your life. How you feel, how you think, how you act around other people. It determines how you handle stress, and most importantly, how you make choices. Mental health is super important at every stage of life, from childhood through adolescence, through adulthood, and on to old age. Over the course of your life, you are going to experience mental issues. It's unavoidable. We all have stress and loss and struggles that cannot be avoided. In addition to that, other people have choices, and some of those choices affect our mental health. We're going to look at three different categories: the biological factors, your life experiences or your environment, and very briefly, your family history of mental health problems. And then we're going to dive pretty deep into what are some coping strategies that you can use. What do people do to better and protect their minds? Truly, we can all make improvements to our mental health, and I think we should all make efforts to do so. If nothing else, you'll just be more sound and possibly happier. Positive mental health allows you to be your best self. It allows you to be productive at work and have positive relationships with people around you, including your friends, your family, and your spouses. Oh, and your siblings. We all know that's hard. I have four brothers. Believe me when I say it's hard having siblings. But those relationships are super important. I want you to have really healthy ones. Some ways that you can maintain your positive mental health include getting professional help if you need it, connecting with other people. We're all going through a whole lot right now with COVID-19 and experiencing a pandemic. That's a new one on me, and I'm almost 50. Um, it's important to stay positive if at all possible. Get as physically attractive as you can. That might help you to maintain your mental health, and that's possible with some hygiene and fashion choices. Help others get enough sleep. I know you guys do not sleep. I have a hard time with that one myself. It's 12:30 right now, and I'm still working on school. So, um, try to get as much sleep as you can. Get it where you can get it. And lastly, develop some coping skills to help you when the times get tough and your mental illness or your mental health takes a hit. Now, I worked really hard on this, and I thought about this for a long time. I always like to put together these top 10 lists. I don't know if it's too much David Letterman, but I like a good top 10. And I searched my brain to figure out, what do I think? You guys always ask me, Ms.Watts, what do you think is this? What do you think is that? And I can honestly say, if I were talking to any of my students, I would give them these 10 tips. I'll give anybody these 10 tips for mental wellness. We're not talking about illness. We're talking about how to stay healthy, how to protect your happiness here. Above everything, stay away from drugs and alcohol and other vices like smoking and gambling and vaping and promiscuity, pornography. Nothing good ever comes from them. If you didn't know that, then now you can say that you know. Um, these cause more grief, loss, and illness than anything else in the world. There is no happiness or contentment in these things. And even exposing yourself once to them can be deadly or cost you your freedom through being thrown in prison or being enslaved in your mind being sick with addiction. Stay away from drugs and alcohol. And if you have a family history of substance abuse, that means you really need to stay away from drugs and alcohol. Or a family history of mental illness. It's just no good. It's no good for anybody. It's no good for anybody. Okay? So, let's look at these top 10s. I hope you guys can't hear my cat scratching on my door. I thought that the distractions from doing this virtually would be lessened. No, they're just replaced with distractions at home. We'll get through it. We're not going to worry about it. Okay, first, you have to laugh. And most importantly, learn to laugh at yourself. If you fall down, be the person laughing loudest, okay? Life's a wiggle, not a struggle, okay? Number 2, cry. Tears are full of yucky toxins that are leaving your body. And the second you start crying, you start to feel better. It's amazing what tears can do. Number 3, use your anger for good. If you have anger, that's passion. That's power. That's power that can be harnessed into a productive, constructive thing, like standing up for people, like fighting for victims' rights, um, being an advocate for people with disabilities. Use your anger for good whenever possible. If you can, use it for activities that are helpful and positive, ones that don't cause any harm. Channel your anger through exercise, through boxing or contact sports or video games. Find a productive, non harmful way to deal with your anger, and especially do no harm to yourself in anger. Okay? Number 4, be kind to everybody, including and especially yourself. Life is hard for everybody. Yes, everybody, everyone. Take it easy on yourself and love yourself like you were your own little mommy and you were your own little baby in your arms. Be just the sweetest you possibly can be to yourself. Number 5, surround yourself with happy people, positive, kind people. Surround yourself with them as quickly as possible. You become what you hang out with. So choose well. All right. My mama used to say, if you lay with dogs, you get fleas. I guess that's what she meant. If you are hanging around people who are happy and positive, it's more likely that they will help you become more happy and positive. At least that's what I think. Number 5. Oh man, here we go with the numbers. Number 6. If your people are not happy, wholesome, positive people, then protect yourself from them as much as you can. And once you're an adult, you really need to analyze whether um, you can be around those people and protect your mental health. And that's a hard thing to do sometimes, especially with people that you're related to or that you once loved or still love very deeply, but they're just not healthy or healthy for you. Number seven, people, say you're sorry. We all mess up constantly, every day. It's human, it's normal. Apologize and accept apologies with your whole heart, with your whole soul. Say you are sorry and mean it. Number eight, forgive yourself. We all mess up every day, constantly. It's human and normal. Take it easy on yourself. Don't dwell on the mistakes of the past, all right? Forgiving others is a powerful, powerful thing that frees you up in ways that are hard to describe. Spread forgiveness like confetti. Seriously powerful. Number nine, have a hobby that produces something. This keeps your hands and your mind busy and gives you a concrete 3D thing that you can touch, that's a representation of your efforts. Make something. It's good for your soul. And like my mama said, idle hands are the devil's playground, which loosely translated means people get up to nonsense when they get bored. Find something to occupy your time. Build something, draw something, sing something, write something, read a book, write a book. Number 10, be brave. Be brave. Ask for help when you need it. Help others when you can. Stand up for what is right and stand up for yourself and others. Fight for your happiness and protect it like a precious jewel. Be brave, people. All right, here's 11 facts about mental health. You need to read through these facts and then use these facts to answer the questions on the ERT that I'm sharing with you on Google Classroom. When I read through these, I realized that I knew a few of these, but some of them had been updated and they're important facts to know. Mostly, you need to know that this is a widespread issue that all of us struggle with at times in our lives. Some people struggle with it their entire lives. Sorry, I'm going to have to get the cat taken care of. Like I said, distractions. I asked you to pick out which three-ish of these facts stand out to you the most. And I think that the facts that stand out to me the most as a teacher are number two, that 1 in 5 young people aged 13 to 18 has or will develop a mental illness in their lifetime. That It's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. Kitty cat, come here. Come here. I already knew that most Americans lack access to medical care and mental health treatment. Come here. We're going to visit from our kitty cats. And number 8, um, I was aware that members of the LGBTQ plus community are almost 3 times more likely to experience a mental health condition such as major depression or generalized anxiety disorder. We study that during my master's program, as well as when we did training for school. Before you guys start school, we train for several days, and luckily they provide us with a lot of resources about mental health and supporting you any way that we can in the classroom. Ooh, and that one I don't think I was aware of. Number 10, 50% of all mental illnesses show early signs before a person turns 14 years old. And 75% of mental illnesses begin before age 24. That's an interesting fact. You read through these and answer the questions that I asked you about them on your assignment. It's okay to not be okay. All right? We all have good and bad days. Nobody can be perfectly happy all the time. It's weird and just not human. One day you feel on top of the world, and the next day everything goes wrong, and you have a bad day. That is perfectly normal. Remember, you are not alone, and you're not bothering others, even though it might feel like that you are. Everyone, everyone in life has problems. Everybody. That does not mean that you're adding to somebody's problems if you share how you're feeling. They might actually feel better sharing problems because then they feel less alone. And the truth is, a lot of times when you verbalize a thing, when you put it out in the air, it kind of takes away some of the fear of it. It kind of takes away some of the anxiety of the whole situation. When you just speak it, it loses some of its power. It loses some of its intimidation, I've found. Just put it out there. Discuss it with people. You are not a burden. Things do get better. They do. And you absolutely matter. Now, I put you some links into this presentation, and they are all this color, blue, and they're underlined. So if you click on it, it should pull up the resource where I got these quotes and this information from. And there's a list at the end of this document with all the resources listed with clickable links. I told you I wanted you to have a resource that you could actually use, and I meant what I said. Okay? So, here's the link to the You Matter Suicide Prevention Lifeline that talks about why it's okay to not be okay. Sometimes you're going to be sad. Sometimes that's just how it is because life happens and we love people and we experience loss. It's hard. It's sad. It's going to make you feel bad for a while. But then you're going to get better. And then you're going to learn. All right. So there's one website now. You asked A lot of you asked for the early warning signs of mental unwellness. This is the beginning of not being okay. And these are things you need to look out for with your friends, with yourself, with your siblings, with people that come into your sphere, okay? Your peeps. Early warning signs. Experiencing one or more of the following feelings or behaviors can be an early warning sign of a problem. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have a problem, but if these go on for an extended period of time, then I would suggest that you look into it and talk to your parents and possibly a doctor. If you eat too much or sleep too much or have no energy when you wake up, if your friends are telling you that they're hopeless, if you're constantly yelling and fighting with your family and your friends, if your body hurts and you have unexplainable aches and pains, or you're having severe mood swings that are causing you problems, if you're hearing voices or experiencing hallucinations, that's a sign that you really need to get a doctor involved, okay? If you're thinking of harming yourself or others, or you hear your friends talking about harming or harming others, if you see that they're harming themselves, that's an early warning sign that they are suffering from a mental health issue or possibly an illness. It's a sign that they may need help, that they may need someone to talk to at the very least. If you want more information on that, there's another link at the bottom. I got this from mentalhealth.gov. If you want, you can click on that and it will take you here. And you can look at specific, we'll say, traits or behaviors that you can look for specific disorders and illnesses, anxiety disorders, and these are all clickable as well. So you can click on these to get more information about eating disorders, what causes eating disorders, what can you do about them, how do you prevent them, mood disorders, OCD, ADHD, anxiety, psychotic disorders, and trauma and stress related disorders. Right now, trauma and stress related disorders are really prevalent. They are all around us because we are in the middle of a pandemic, and people experience trauma all over the world, every day, from many different things, including war and racism and abuse. Trauma and stress related disorders are way up there on the number as far as how many people are affected by mental illnesses. They're way up there. Now, you can go to the website, you can find out more information. Like I said, if we're going to look at eating disorders, if I click on it, it gives me the 3 different recognized or most common eating disorders. And then I can click on these links to find more information. I thought that I would just give you that instead of going through each of these, because that would be a really super long video. Maybe we can dive into those later in another video. The post-traumatic stress disorder is at the bottom there. And PTSD might be a term that you have heard before. It's something that veterans used to be diagnosed with quite frequently when returning from war. And in our society, they quickly learned that post traumatic stress was not limited to veterans. You can experience post traumatic stress after living through or seeing a traumatic event like war, hurricanes, rape, physical abuse, or witnessing a bad accident. Um, it's a physical illness as much as a mental illness. Um, it affects your body and makes your heart race, and you have this whole stress response with PTSD on top of the mental response that kicks you straight into survival mode and fight or flight. It is not fun. I'll tell you that right now. That was the mental illness that I struggled with when I was treated for my cancer, and have been struggling with since with other traumatic events that have happened um, since then. It's hard. It's really, really hard having that physical response on top of the anxiety and the mental complications. Mental disorders are hard to deal with. They really, really are. I sympathize and I empathize with all of you guys. I really do. Now, I can't empathize entirely because I luckily never suffered from mental disorders um, up until my diagnosis and treatment with a life threatening disease and the circumstances that followed all of that and the procedures themselves. Sometimes you can get post traumatic stress from having to go through medical treatments that are necessary and save your life. Um, they are traumatic. They're traumatic. Um, I always found myself full of gratitude when I thought about my cancer and the treatments, and then I thanked God that I was not a burn victim. I knew that my treatments could always, always be worse and more traumatic. Now, there's your early warning signs. We click the link to explore more. That is definitely one that was on the top of your list that you wanted to discuss. You also wanted to know when you're not okay. When are you really not okay? When can you ask yourself, do I need help? And know that it's time to get help. Here's the 7 ways, okay? Number 1, are you able to do what you need to do? Or are you unable to accomplish your normal routine? Have you lost interest in the things that you like to do? Do you feel tired, overwhelmed, worn out, exhausted? Um, are you able to follow your schedule, meet your demands? Are you showering? Are you brushing your hair and brushing your teeth and washing your face? Are you washing your clothes? Are you keeping your surroundings clean? Number 2, social functioning. How are you with your relationships? Are your relationships good? Are they suffering as well? Do you have a lot of conflict going on at home or school or work? Are you hiding out and being a hermit, isolating yourself in your room? Are you feeling like people don't care about you? Um, do you have a lot to say and nobody to tell it to? That could be a sign that you're not okay. You need somebody to talk to. Are you sleeping? Are you sleeping too much? Are you sleeping too little? We respond differently when we're not okay. One person will sleep more than usual, and another person will sleep less than usual. I know I'm not a sleeper at all. But if I'm sad or depressed, I will sleep more. It's just, um, it's time when I don't have to feel sad, is what it is. That's what it becomes when I'm not my normal perky self, when I am dealing with something or going through something or catching the feelings, I guess you would say. Look at your mood. Are you feeling empty? Are you feeling sad? Are you crying for no reason? Are you feeling angry or frustrated or lashing out at people who are nice to you? Excuse me. Are you being mean to people who don't deserve it? Um, do you feel worthless? Do you feel guilty a lot? Do you feel nothing? If so, that's a sign that you might not be okay, people, okay? You might not be okay, and that's okay. All right? You need to know that's okay. Food, of course, number 5, my favorite thing ever. Are you eating more than normal or less than normal? Do you not have an appetite? Um, are you remembering to eat? Are you eating food that gives you life? And you know what I mean. Um, are you feeding your soul with your calories? Would be my question. Pay attention to what you're eating. Pay attention to your nutrition. It's important. It can play a major role in your mood and your chemical balances. It's super important. Eat some healthy food. Now, if you're one of those people who eat your feelings, they used to say, that is something you definitely need to work on. Fillings are not supposed to be eaten. All right. If you reach for food every time you get upset, you might find yourself overweight and then be dealing with a whole lot of other health problems other than mental issues and mental health problems. Examine your thoughts. Number 6, are you having trouble concentrating? Can you make decisions that you need to make? Are you having racing thoughts? Do your thoughts look like my tabs up here that we have open? Or do they look like my actual tabs, which are about 3 times what I have open up here for this presentation? That's the truth. That's the tea right there. Look at your thoughts. Are you obsessing about something that you just can't get out of your head? My mama called it needling. Are you needling a thought? Excuse me. I knew that this good voice wasn't going to last for long. Is your behavior normal and healthy for you? Are you wanting to harm yourself in any way? In any way? If so, I'm going to go ahead and tell you you're not okay. You need help. Whew, I need help. Lord help me. I'm going to finish this slide. And then I'm going to go take a cough drop and some Benadryl. Those unhealthy behaviors, thinking of harming yourself or harming yourself, um, any behavior that you wish you could stop, but you can't. That is a sign that you need an intervention. You need help. You need a doctor. You need your parents' help. You need your friends' help. You need help. And that's okay. Go get it. All right? Um, Here is another resource for you. It's a compilation written by college freshmen of questions to ask yourself before you just give up for the day, okay? Before you just give up and slide into that mood or that groove, ask yourself these questions, and then see if you feel better. All right. Now let's go back. Let's pull that one up. There it is. Are you hydrated? Did you drink water? Have you eaten in the past 3 hours? Hangry is a thing, okay? We all know what hangry is. It's hungry. It's hungry. You're hungry to the point that you can't even tolerate your own self. Maybe you just need to eat. Thank you, Jesus. I found the pause button. This is my first time using Loom. It's pretty easy, but I also found a cough drop. That should help us out a lot. I've had this for a long time, and I think it's a great resource. It just are some things you can do if you are experiencing drama with your mood or having a bad day and don't really know why. Experiencing, again, a couple of these things over a period of 2 weeks or more is a cause for concern. Now, the next slide. How to help one of your friends. And this is from the National Alliance on Mental Health or Mental Illness. This was the second most requested item from our KWL chart of what you want to learn about mental health and wellness. How will you know if something's wrong with your friends? Here's the list. If you see any of these, especially threatening to kill himself or herself or making plans to do so, you might not think that they're being serious. And you guys know that I just really hate it when you make the suicide joke, the suicide jokes that you like to make in class. And I get that a lot of people will say that, or a lot of people will make gestures that express their frustration, but no threat should be taken lightly. If you think they're doing anything but joking, ask them, are you joking? Um, Ask them. If they say yes, then talk about it a little bit more. If they say no, then tell somebody. Tell their parents. Tell one of us. Tell one of your teachers. Tell the school counselor or the principal. If they are threatening to do it right then, call 911. Call the police. Get somebody there to help them. Okay? Um, look for them doing really risky behaviors, extreme, out of control, risky behaviors that can endanger their life, like taking drugs or um, driving recklessly, drinking extreme amounts of alcohol, or just having an overall lack of concern about their safety, their physical safety. If they're having mood swings, if they're not eating, if they're um, using laxatives or throwing up a lot, if you see self harm scars on them, you know, talk to them. And most importantly, talk to somebody else too. The truth is, sometimes your friend will feel upset with you. Um, but the honest truth about that is they will thank you for it one day if they get the help that they need. They will be very grateful that you cared enough to tell their parents, to tell a teacher, to tell a counselor, or to call 911 if there's the risk of serious harm. Drastic changes in behavior, personality. Your once happy friend is now just not the same person. And we're not talking about the normal trying on of personalities that happens through middle school and high school. We're not talking about that. That's normal. That's to be expected. You're figuring out who you're going to be. You might have a goth phase or a weeb phase or, um, or I don't know, like, I don't know what the phases are. Uh, you might have a phase that you outgrow as you progress. We're talking about drastic changes that happen quickly, um, that make them seem off, that make them seem different than they were. More on what you can do to help a friend. Tell your friend what you're seeing. Don't judge. Just say, hey, dude, I'm noticing that you're sad lately. What are we doing about that? Be compassionate and understanding. Use I statements instead of you statements to get the conversation started. Like, maybe I've noticed you're sleeping more or less lately. Is everything okay? I've noticed you haven't been acting like yourself lately. Is something going on? Start the conversation. Do you need help? Ask them, do you need help? I'm a huge fan of just um, saying the thing that needs to be said. If you hang out with me for any amount of time, you'll you'll learn real fast that I don't think I'm capable of doing much else. Some things just need to be honest and truthful, and our communications with each other most certainly need to be that, is the way I feel about it. Secondly, reach out to somebody else. If your friend needs help or you need help, you need to get other people involved. You really do. Try to find somebody who might be understanding, and somebody who has the potential to help them. They may feel cornered. Um, tell your friend that you feel like you need to tell somebody. And even if they disagree, I think you still need to. I think you definitely still need to get um, some more eyes on this person and get people noticing. You know, people are really good at putting on that brave face and that, brave smile and getting through their day without everything that they're going through being on their face. We all do it. We have to. Um, I do it. I come in to work and put on the teacher face, and I have to push my life out of my mind for, you know, 8 hours so that I can hang out with you and be a good teacher and do my job and make money. It's what all of us need to do. It's what all of us have to do. You put on that brave face, and sometimes you even wear it when you're with people who you trust, like your friends and your parents. You don't need that face for them. You need to show them your real face. Be honest with them. Ask for help. Reach out to people. Get people the help they need. Offer support. There's ways you can support them. There's questions you can ask them and how you should ask them. How can I support you right now? What do you need? Um, and then help them follow through. That's always helpful as well. You can always click on the link up here, National Alliance on Mental Illness, to find out more. These are other things that I found on how to help a friend. Check in regularly. If you know your friend's struggling, call or text them once or twice a week. Make sure you check in with them. Check in with them after their doctor appointments. See how it went. Let them know you're there for them. Okay? Include your friends, even if you know that they're going to turn you down, even if they've turned you down 100 times, still ask them to come to the events that you're having, even if you know that they're not going to come. It's still important that you try to involve them. You have to realize that their anxiety or their mental disorders are really hard to manage, and sometimes that really prevents them from doing things that they want to do, including going to birthday parties and hanging out with their friends. Sometimes it's too much and they can't do it. But it really hurts when you're not invited. At least invite them. Educate yourself. Learn more about mental illness. That's what we're doing right now, and it is a broad topic that you could read on and study your entire life and still not be an expert about. You could probably be a doctorate. You could always get that doctor degree. But even the doctors continually study mental health and the disorders associated with it. Here's an infographic. And in case you're not aware what an infographic is, it's just a poster. That's all. And it's just a fancy name for a poster that is on the internet. So there's a handy dandy infographic if you'd like to print it out or make your own and hang it up. I think when we get back to school, we can hang some of these up at school. Now, let's get into the meat of things. You guys know I'm pretty scientific. I like the facts, right? I sure do. Let's get into the causes. A few of you wanted to know, and we had already discussed that we were going to discuss the causes of mental illness. And we've got those divided into three categories here: biological, psychological, and environmental. Now, biological is your body and brain, psychological is your mind and your personality, and then environmental factors that cause mental illness. Environmental is everything around you, everything and everybody else. That's environmental causes of mental illness. First, we're going to look at biological factors. That's your body and your brain. If illness runs in your family, if mental illnesses run in your family, they, for sure, you have a risk of developing them yourself. Certain infections can cause brain damage and lead to mental illness and a worsening of mental illness that you had before the infection. Brain defects or brain injuries to certain areas of the brain, especially the frontal lobe of the brain, have also been linked to some mental illnesses like psychopathy. Prenatal damage that was done while you were still a tiny little baby in your mommy's tummy has been linked to mental illness, and that can be from just mom's exposure to environmental toxins like lead or heavy metals, or it could also be from drugs and alcohol use or abuse while you're pregnant. Substance abuse, absolutely. I believe this one should be way up here. Substance abuse causes mental illness. It really does. Has a strong link. It's been proven to have a strong link to debilitating mental illnesses like depression, anxiety, and paranoia. The brain damage from the substances is enough to give you a mental illness with addicts, it seems, quite often. And then, of course, there's other biological factors like poor nutrition and exposures to toxins such as lead or mercury. The psychological factors, that's your mind, your emotions, and your personality. If you experience severe psychological trauma, such as emotional, physical, or sexual abuse, then that is a very strong indicator that you may have struggles with mental illness. And the younger you are when that trauma and abuse occurs, the more impact it has on your mental health. Usually, the very, very young are very vulnerable to serious damage from abuse and trauma. An important early loss, like the loss of a parent when you're young. The loss of a parent is hard anytime, at any age, but it's especially hard when you're a young child who is still dependent on that adult for your needs. Neglect is when people don't take care of you. Neglect is very harmful and can cause some serious mental health issues with self-esteem and self-worth. Not to mention the the body effects that neglect has on young children and grown-ups alike. You may have a poor ability to relate to other people, and that might not be your fault. That might just be a psychological factor. It might be that you have social anxiety disorder. It's a disorder that, is a mental disorder. So what? You know, a lot of people have it. You know, uh, Public speaking is one of the biggest fears that people have, and that's social anxiety. Getting up in front of a bunch of people and feeling like you're going to make a fool of yourself. That's basically what it boils down to. You're afraid you're going to say the wrong thing or embarrass yourself, or I don't know, maybe you're afraid your head's going to explode. I don't know. It's a poor ability to relate to other people, and that can be a lot more serious than not being able to get up in front of a group and speak. It can be that you can't answer the person in the drive-through window when you want to order some food. Feelings of inadequacy, low self-esteem, anxiety, anger, loneliness, these can all be factors in the psychological causes for mental illness. And overexposure to violence and pornography also can contribute to mental illness. You know, if it has a support group for it, um, it is usually considered an addiction, and addictions are not healthy. No matter what addiction it is, it's not a healthy mental state to be in. And I included risk-taking behaviors and gambling, because also addictions and dangerous behavior, in general, um, are psychological factors, absolutely, that can lead to or contribute to mental illness. Lastly, environmental factors. That's everything and everyone around you. I personally believe that these may have the most impact on our mental health, because sometimes they are the ones that you have absolutely no control over. And those are especially damaging. You have no control over your grandma dying or your parents getting divorced. You have no control over that. That's not on you. But you still have to deal with it. You still have to feel all the feelings and manage the loss. If you have a dysfunctional family life, if you're dealing with homelessness, with domestic abuse, with any kind of dysfunctional family life where people don't treat each other well and you don't feel safe, that is a strong impact on how you feel inside your head and how you feel mentally. Your social and cultural expectations, and there's an example there, beauty and thinness can lead to, has been a factor in the development of eating disorders. When you are expected, or you think you're expected by society or your peers to look or act or think or behave a certain way, and you just don't for whatever reason, then you're really hard on yourself and you judge yourself and you feel less than, when in reality, you're not. You are a snowflake. You are the only you that could be or ever will be. That makes you really, really special. Um, Guys, you got to give it up. You got to give up the race to be the best, be the biggest, or the fastest, or the strongest, or the thinnest, or the prettiest, or the most popular, or I don't know. I don't know. You gotta give it up. You gotta give it up. Be the best you. Be the best you. And don't compare yourself to other people. And definitely don't listen to what they say about you. Um, I don't remember who said it, but I really, really believe that what other people think about me is absolutely none of my business. I don't need to know. I don't need to know. It's not always constructive or helpful what other people think about you. And at the end of the day, you need to live with yourself. So make sure you like you. Make sure you like who's residing in your own skin. Okay? Don't get it twisted. But what other people think is none of my business about me. That's none of my business at all. Um, if you are surrounded by people who are addicts or substance abusers, that's an environmental factor that will have a big impact on your mental health. And it's a big factor that leads to neglect, which we saw from the last slide is also an enormous factor in the development of mental illness and mental disorders. And then lastly, we have geographical, which is where you are in the world, and social, or your internet community, your connections with people, your friends, and your cultural crises or conflict. We can't really do anything about geographical conflicts. That's out of our hands. We don't have the power to end a war. I think we need to get that power somehow. You do have control over your social contacts and your social activities. Um, Choose well on those. Be careful where you go online and what you expose yourself to online and what you research and who you talk to. Be real careful. Be real careful in life with that too. It's not like just because they're standing in front of you, it's any less important to be paying attention to who people are. Um, Pay attention. And when people tell you who they are, listen. All right? When people tell you who they are, you better listen. Listen to them. They're telling you the truth. Now, before we go on to this slide, I think we're going to take a little bit of a break. Be right back.